Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're tackling something that I think is super relevant to all of us, becoming our own bank.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, taking control of our finances and really boosting our financial know-how. And you know what's cool is one of our listeners actually sent in this awesome article from Entrepreneur that dives into exactly this topic. It lays out these actionable steps that we can take to really become more financially self-reliant.
So like a roadmap to becoming our own bank.
Exactly.
I'm intrigued.
So let's jump right in. The article kicks off with a pretty sobering stat.
Okay.
It talks about the low financial literacy rates in both the US and the EU, which is kind of a wake-up call.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to assume that everyone has a good grasp of finances,
Hmm.
but the reality is that a lot of people struggle with it regardless of their income or background.
Yeah, for sure. And, the article doesn't just stop at the stats. It goes on to highlight the particular challenges that women often face when it comes to finances.
Right.
Like statistically, women tend to be less financially secure.
Yeah, less access to emergency savings.
Exactly. Which makes building that financial resilience even more crucial.
Absolutely. And, when you consider the fact that women-led businesses often struggle to get funding, even when they're showing strong growth, it really underscores why this whole idea of financial self-reliance is so important.
Totally. It's about leveling the playing field.
For sure.
So we've got the context, the why this matters. But what I really loved about this entrepreneur article is that it doesn't just dwell on the problems.
Yeah.
It jumps right into solutions.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. It gives us these 5 concrete steps that we can take to become our own bank.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Lay it on me.
What's step one?
Step 1 is all about leveraging the gig economy.
Okay, so the gig economy. We hear that term thrown around a lot these days.
We do. But the article goes beyond just, finding freelancers. It's about using the gig economy strategically to build agility into your finances and to scale your work based on what you need at that moment.
I see. So it's about being smart and selective with how you utilize those resources.
Exactly.
It makes sense, especially for entrepreneurs who are just starting out. They might not have the resources to hire a full-time team. So being able to tap into the gig economy for specific projects or tasks can be a game changer.
Totally. And what's cool is the author of the article actually practices what she preaches.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she talks about using this hybrid model in her own company, mixing full-time employees with gig workers for different projects.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it allows her to stay flexible and adaptable.
Without breaking the bank.
Without breaking the bank, exactly.
That's a win-win.
It is.
But, thinking about the gig economy, it does come with its own set of challenges too, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like inconsistent income, the lack of traditional benefits.
For sure.
How does the article address those potential downsides?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you're right, it's not a perfect solution. The article does acknowledge that. It emphasizes the importance of having a solid financial foundation before you dive headfirst into the gig economy world.
So being prepared and having a buffer.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about jumping in blindly,
Right.
but about being strategic and aware of the trade-offs.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Okay, so step 2. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Becoming a pricing ninja.
Ooh.
I love this one. It's about knowing your worth
Yes.
and setting prices that actually reflect the value that you bring to the table.
No more underselling ourselves.
No more underselling.
Love it. But, it's not always easy to figure out what that true value is, especially when you're offering something unique or specialized.
That's so true. How do you even begin to put a price on that?
Right.
Well, the article shares this story about the author.
Okay.
When she started her consulting business, she made a conscious decision to never undervalue her work. She set firm prices right from the start,
Wow.
and it worked.
Good for her. Yeah.
It takes guts.
It does.
I'm curious what contributed to her success. Was it her niche, her target audience? Maybe she leveraged a sense of scarcity? I think it would be helpful to unpack those factors.
Yeah.
Because just saying set firm prices
Yeah.
might not be enough for someone who's struggling with self-doubt.
Yeah. You're so right. And the article does touch upon those nuances. It talks about understanding your ideal client, researching industry benchmarks, and positioning yourself strategically. It's about finding that sweet spot where your pricing not only covers your costs, but also communicates the value that you offer.
Okay, so it's a combination of confidence, strategy,
Yeah,
and market awareness.
exactly.
It's not just about what you think you're worth,
Yeah.
but also how that aligns with the market's perception of your value.
I love that. And you know what? That leads us perfectly into step 3.
Okay, bring it on.
Negotiation.
Negotiations. That word can make my palms sweat a little bit.
there, no, right?
But it is important. It is. And the article presents it in this really cool way. It frames negotiation as something that you do consistently, not just when you're closing big deals.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's about constantly looking for ways to save money and improve your cash flow, almost like a game.
Okay. I like
Yeah.
that. So it's less about those high-stakes, stressful negotiations and more about just being proactive and looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
What kind of examples does the article give?
They talk about reviewing your contracts regularly.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, seeking better rates on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Your office space, your insurance,
Right.
even negotiating payment terms that reduce your upfront costs. The author gives an example of tying her payment to project performance,
Wow.
which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, that's strategic. It shows confidence in your ability to deliver and a willingness to share the risk, which could be really appealing to clients.
Totally.
But I do wonder, wouldn't constantly negotiating everything be exhausting?
I know, right?
Where do you find the balance between being assertive and not being a pain?
That's a great question. And I think it comes down to finding your own style, knowing when to push and when to let go. The article doesn't really delve into that emotional side of negotiation, which I think would be helpful.
Yeah, the psychology of negotiation is just as important as the tactics.
For sure.
It's about building relationships, not just winning every battle.
So true. All right, ready for step 4.
Hit me.
This one might seem a little counterintuitive.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's about getting professional financial help.
Wait a minute. I thought we were trying to become our own banks.
I know, right?
Why would we need someone else?
But the article makes a great point. Even if you're financially savvy, sometimes you need an expert in your corner.
Like a financial advisor.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like anything else. Sometimes you need to call in the professionals, whether it's a plumber, a mechanic, or in this case, a financial advisor.
Totally. And they emphasize that seeking expert advice can actually save you money in the long run. Well, a financial advisor can help you avoid costly mistakes. They can optimize your financial planning.
Okay, so it's like an investment in your financial well-being.
It is.
I think a lot of people might hesitate to seek financial advice because they assume it's only for the wealthy.
Right.
But that's not necessarily true.
Not at all. There are financial professionals who cater to all sorts of income levels and needs.
That's good to know.
And sometimes just having someone to bounce ideas off of and get an objective perspective can be so valuable.
It takes some of the pressure off.
Definitely.
But how do you even find the right financial advisor? That seems like a crucial step.
Yeah, it is. They recommend doing your research, asking for recommendations, and interviewing a few different advisors before making a decision.
So finding someone you trust and who understands your goals.
Exactly.
Got it.
Okay, ready for the final step?
Lay it on me.
This one is all about creating boundaries and getting educated.
Okay, a two-pronged approach.
I like that.
Let's break it down.
So the boundaries part is about establishing healthy financial habits,
Okay, like what?
setting limits on your spending,
Right.
tracking your expenses,
Be mindful.
being mindful.
Yeah, makes sense. So what about the getting educated part?
That's all about constantly learning and adapting. The financial world is constantly changing,
It is.
so it's crucial to stay informed.
Stay curious.
Stay curious, exactly, and be willing to learn new things. The author actually shares a story about how she took an executive finance course at London Business School,
Really?
even though she already had a strong understanding of finance,
Wow.
which I think highlights that there's always room for growth.
No matter where you are on your financial journey,
Exactly.
it's about having that growth mindset
Always being open to new information.
and refining your approach.
Yes.
But where do you even begin with financial education? There's so much information out there. It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a great question. And something I think the article could have elaborated on a bit more. They mentioned the importance of continuous learning, but they don't provide a ton of specific guidance on where to find that information.
Right. Like where you start.
Exactly.
Maybe we can brainstorm some ideas later,
For sure.
like some reputable websites or books, or even other podcasts.
Totally. So there you have it, the 5 steps to becoming your own bank.
That's quite a roadmap.
It is.
And it's clear that it's about more than just the practical steps. It's about a mindset shift, taking control and feeling empowered to shape your financial future.
Yes. It's about taking ownership of your finances
Yeah.
and believing in your ability to create a life of financial freedom and abundance.
I love that. So now that we have an overview, what do you say we dive into each of these steps in a bit more detail?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's jump back into those 5 steps. I want to revisit that first one about leveraging the gig economy. The article gave that cool example of the author using a hybrid model in her own company. But what are some other ways that people can use the gig economy to their advantage?
Yeah, it really struck me how the article emphasized viewing the gig economy as more than just, cheap labor. It's about getting access to these specific skills and talents that you might not be able to afford or even need full time.
Right, it's about being resourceful
Exactly.
and finding creative solutions that actually fit your goals. Like, say you're a small business owner and you need help with marketing, but you can't afford to hire a full-time marketing manager yet. The gig economy could be a great way to find someone, a freelancer, a consultant, for
Right.
a specific project or campaign.
Exactly. Or maybe you need help with website design, bookkeeping, social media. There are so many talented freelancers out there who can fill those gaps without that long-term commitment.
Right, and that flexibility can be so key, especially for entrepreneurs who are just starting out or maybe going through a growth spurt. It allows you to adapt and scale without overspending.
For sure.
But, we talked about the potential downsides of the gig economy earlier, the inconsistent income, the lack of benefits. How does the article suggest navigating those challenges?
Yeah, that's a really important point. And the article touches on the need for solid financial planning before relying heavily on gig work. It's about being aware of those trade-offs
Hmm.
and having a buffer in place.
Right, so it's not a perfect solution, but a tool that needs to be used strategically,
Exactly.
which I think is a theme that runs through this whole becoming your own bank concept. It's about being proactive and informed.
Totally.
Okay, so moving on to step 2, becoming a pricing ninja, figuring out what you're worth. And having the confidence to charge that amount, I think that's a hurdle for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
The article talks about how the author made a commitment to never undervalue her work when she started her business. But how did she actually do that? What made her approach successful?
Right. Well, the article emphasizes that it's not just about picking a number out of thin air. It's about doing your research,
Hmm.
understanding your ideal client, looking at industry benchmarks, and positioning yourself strategically.
So it's not just about what you think you're worth, but also how that aligns with the market.
Exactly. And I think her story shows that sometimes taking that leap of faith and setting those firm prices can actually work in your favor. It can show clients that you're confident and that you're an expert.
It's about projecting that value,
Right.
not just in your work, but also in how you price it.
Totally. Okay, so on to step 3, which I know can be kind of daunting. Negotiation.
Ugh, yeah, negotiation. I always get a little bit nervous just thinking about it.
I know, but the article presents it in such a refreshing way. It's not this big, scary event. It's an ongoing practice.
I like that. It takes the pressure off.
Exa-
So it's less about those big dramatic negotiations and more about consistently looking for ways to improve your financial position.
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of examples do they give?
Well, they talk about reviewing your contracts regularly, always seeking better rates,
Mm.
even on things like your office space or insurance.
Oh, that's smart.
It's about being proactive and looking for opportunities to save money
Hmm.
and improve your cash flow.
So it's like having this constant awareness of your finances and how you can optimize them.
Yeah.
You know that example of the author negotiating payment tied to project performance? That was pretty cool.
It was. It takes a lot of confidence.
It does. But it can be a win-win for both parties. The client gets reassurance that they're only paying for results, and the contractor demonstrates their belief in their ability to deliver.
Exactly.
It's a great example of creative problem solving.
It is.
But I do wonder, is there ever a downside to being too aggressive with negotiation?
That's a really good point. It's a delicate balance, right? You don't want to damage relationships by being too pushy. I think the article could have maybe gone into the etiquette of negotiation a bit more.
Yeah, like when to push and when to let go.
Right.
It's not just about the tactics, it's about the social dynamics too.
For sure. Okay, so step 4, which again might seem a little counterintuitive.
Okay, tell me more.
It's about getting professional financial help.
Wait a minute. I thought we were all about becoming our own financial gurus.
I know. But the article makes a really good point.
Mm.
That even if you're financially savvy, sometimes you need an expert in your corner.
Like a financial advisor.
Exactly.
Okay, I can see that. It's like you don't have to be an expert in everything. You can outsource certain things, just
Right.
like you would hire a plumber or an electrician.
Exactly. And they point out that investing in that expert advice can actually save you money in the long run.
Because they can help you avoid costly mistakes
Exactly.
and make sure you're on the right track. But finding a good financial advisor can be tough. How do they suggest going about that?
Well, they recommend doing your research, asking for recommendations from people you trust,
Right.
and interviewing a few different advisors before making a decision.
So find someone you click with,
Yeah.
someone who understands your goals.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, last but not least, step 5, creating boundaries and getting educated.
Ah, yes, the two sides of the financial coin.
I love it.
Let's dive in.
So the boundaries part is all about setting clear guidelines for your finances. It's about having those limits on spending,
Right.
tracking your expenses, and just being mindful of where your money is going.
It's about creating that structure
Yes,
that supports your financial well-being.
those protective guardrails.
Exactly. So what about the getting educated part?
That's about being a lifelong learner. The financial world is constantly changing,
For sure.
so it's important to stay informed and be open to new ideas. The author actually shares a story about how she took an executive finance course at London Business School,
Wow.
even though she already had a strong understanding of finance.
That's commitment.
It is
It really highlights that there's always room for growth,
always.
no matter how much you think you know.
Exactly.
It's about having that curiosity and that drive to keep learning.
Totally.
But, we talked earlier about how the article didn't offer a lot of specific resources for financial education.
We did.
I actually think the author's story about taking that executive course is a great example. It shows that you can seek out those opportunities,
Yeah.
whether it's courses, books, podcasts, even just conversations with people who know more than you do.
I love that. It's about taking that initiative.
Exactly.
So we've really unpacked these 5 steps to becoming our own bank.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. From leveraging the gig economy to negotiating like a pro. And even, recognizing when to call in the experts. It's clear that this is about more than just dollars and cents.
Right. It's about a whole mindset shift.
It is.
It's about feeling empowered to shape your own financial future.
And what really resonated with me is that it's not about deprivation or restriction. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values and your goals.
I love that because that's what makes this whole concept of becoming your own bank so powerful. It's about taking control and not feeling like you're at the mercy of your finances.
Yes, it's about ownership and believing in your ability to create the financial future that you want.
And remember, it's a journey. It's not a destination.
So true.
There will be bumps along the way. But having this framework, these tools in place, can help you navigate those challenges and come out stronger on the other side.
For sure. Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. Remember how the article was a little vague on specific resources for financial education?
Yeah, we talked about the importance of continuous learning. But it would be helpful to give our listeners some concrete starting points.
Totally. So thinking about those 5 steps, what are some resources that could really help people dive deeper?
Okay, well, for leveraging the gig economy, there are tons of websites and platforms out there that connect freelancers with clients.
Like what?
Upwork, Fiverr Guru, those are some popular ones.
Yeah.
It's always a good idea to check out reviews and compare different platforms to see which one best fits your needs.
Great point. And when it comes to becoming a pricing ninja, there are some amazing books and online courses that can help you understand, pricing strategies, value-based pricing, and really how to position yourself in the market.
Right.
Maybe we can share some links in the show notes.
Definitely.
And for negotiation, there are some classic books out there, like Getting to Yes or Never Split the Difference.
Oh, yeah, those are good ones.
They offer some really valuable insights and techniques.
And there are also podcasts and online resources that focus specifically on negotiation skills.
Right. And for finding professional financial help, there are organizations like the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors.
NAPFA.
Yeah, and TAPFA. They can help you find qualified advisors in your area.
And don't forget, word of mouth can be really valuable too. Ask your friends, family, colleagues
Hello, yeah.
if they have a financial advisor that they love.
And then lastly, for that continuous learning piece. First, staying up to date on all things finance. There are tons of websites out there like Investopedia, NerdWallet, The Balance.
Yes.
They have articles, guides, tools.
And, of course, podcasts.
The many podcasts.
That cover everything from investing to budgeting to just general personal finance tips.
So even though the article didn't give us a ton of specifics, we've managed to pull together some great resources.
We did.
It's all about taking that initiative.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into becoming our own bank, I'm going to leave you with one final question to ponder. What's one small step that you can take today to start moving toward greater financial self-reliance?
It could be anything. Setting up a budget, researching financial advisors, even just learning one new financial concept this week.
Every little bit counts.
Right.
This is about progress, not perfection.
Start small. Be consistent. And celebrate those wins along the way.
That's great advice. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Until next time.